didn't give anything up, intentionally. There was no decision, no sacrifice I remember agreeing to, no moment where I told myself, this is what it will cost. If you had asked me what I gave up, I would have said nothing, and I would have believed it. Because nothing was taken from me, nothing was demanded, nothing was forcefully removed. I gave things up quietly, in pieces, over time, without noticing when it started or what I was exchanging in return. I thought giving something up meant loss, pain, resistance. But that's not how it happened. It happened through substitution. I didn't lose freedom, I replaced it with stability. I didn't lose curiosity, I replaced it with efficiency. I didn't lose possibility, I replaced it with predictability. Each exchange felt reasonable, each one felt justified. And because I received something useful in return, I didn't feel like I was giving anything up. That's how it works. The most permanent changes are the ones that don't feel like sacrifices. I told myself I was choosing wisely, that I was prioritizing what mattered, that I was becoming more realistic, and maybe I was. But realism has a cost when it becomes the only lens you use. I didn't give up big dreams. I gave up small impulses, the kind you don't defend, the kind you don't explain, the kind that don't feel important enough to protect, a thought you don't follow, an idea you postpone, a feeling you dismiss because it's inconvenient. Those were the things I gave up first. Not all at once, one by one. Each time I chose practicality, I gained something concrete, more security, more clarity, more approval. But I also lost something subtle, a sense of openness, a sense of internal movement, a sense that life could still surprise me. I didn't miss those things immediately. I told myself they were childish, unnecessary, outgrown. I believed that maturity meant narrowing your focus, that depth required letting go of breadth, and to some extent that's true. But I didn't just narrow my focus. I narrowed my tolerance for uncertainty. I stopped leaving room for parts of myself that didn't produce results. I stopped protecting time that didn't have a clear purpose. I stopped listening to signals that couldn't be acted on immediately. I replaced inner exploration with outer structure. And structure works. It keeps things organized. It reduces chaos. It makes life manageable. But structure also asks for compliance. It asks you to fit yourself into what you've built. I didn't notice when I started adjusting myself instead of adjusting my life. I didn't feel constrained. I felt aligned. At least I thought I did. The exchange continued quietly. I traded spontaneity for consistency. I traded possibility for reliability. I traded presence for progress. None of those trades looked wrong. They looked responsible. People praised them. They made sense. I was becoming someone who could be counted on, someone who followed through, someone who didn't waver. That identity felt solid. And once something feels solid, you stop questioning it. I didn't notice the cost because the benefits were immediate. The cost was delayed. It showed up later in ways that were hard to define. In the feeling that time moved faster than it should, in the way years blended together, in the absence of moments that felt distinctly alive. I didn't feel regret. I felt neutrality. And neutrality can be more unsettling than disappointment, because disappointment points to something specific. Neutrality just sits there, unexplained. I realized I had given up the habit of checking in with myself, not because I was avoiding something, but because I assumed everything important had already been decided. My life had direction, momentum, structure. Why interrupt it? I had learned to value continuity over curiosity, consistency over experimentation. Those are not bad values. But when they become absolute, they slowly replace choice. I didn't feel like I had lost control. I felt like I had finished choosing, as if the major decisions were behind me and the rest was maintenance. That assumption changed how I related to time. The future became an extension of the present, not a space for reconsideration. And without realizing it, I gave up the sense that my life was still negotiable. That was the real exchange. Not freedom for stability, but possibility for permanence. I had accepted a version of myself that felt complete enough to stop revisiting. I told myself this was adulthood, that this was what it meant to settle into who you are. But settling can be deceptive. Sometimes it's grounding. Sometimes it's surrender, disguised as acceptance. I didn't give up my voice. I gave up asking myself difficult questions. I didn't give up agency. I gave up revisiting assumptions. I didn't give up meaning. I gave up searching for it actively, because searching implies uncertainty, and uncertainty felt inefficient. I became very good at living within the lines I had drawn for myself, so good that I forgot I had drawn them. The exchanges didn't stop. They accumulated, each one small, each one defensible, until the total cost was something I couldn't name, but could feel. I hadn't lost myself, but I had narrowed myself. And narrowing doesn't announce itself as loss. It feels like focus. I realized that what I had given up was not a specific version of my life. It was flexibility, the ability to pause and ask, is this still right? Without assuming the answer had to be yes. That realization didn't come with blame. I understood why I made those trades. They helped me survive. They helped me build. They helped me be effective. They weren't mistakes. They were adaptations. But adaptations can outlive their usefulness. What protects you in one phase of life can quietly limit you in another. I didn't need to undo the exchanges I had made. That felt unrealistic. I couldn't return what I had traded away. But I could notice when I was still making the same trades out of habit. I could pause before automatically choosing the most efficient option. I could allow moments that didn't justify themselves. I could let uncertainty exist without rushing to eliminate it. That didn't mean changing everything. It meant reintroducing choice where I had assumed it no longer applied. I stopped seeing my life as something already decided. I allowed the possibility that I was still allowed to negotiate with myself. I didn't try to reclaim what I had given up. I acknowledged it. An acknowledgement has weight. It shifts how you move forward. Not dramatically, not immediately, but deliberately. I understood that the cost of a life that works is often paid in parts you don't notice leaving, and that noticing is not about regret. It's about awareness. I didn't give up everything. I gave up slowly, and once I saw that, I stopped doing it unconsciously.